back with something a little different than the on top of the list stuff. This is related to everybody's favorite topic, the current everyone's favorite topic, the quarantine. This is an illustration for a client that sells computer products to mostly to businesses, and it's about staying connected during, when working from home, basically during this quarantine, and how together, through collaboration, people can build this healthy, singular entity, represented by a tree. It's kind of about productivity during this time. So I may close out my 3D scene. Occasionally I do renders while I'm working on this if I want to patch something up. So this is what the scene looks like. I'll put on some music here. Music is by Catch-All. All right. So, this is the tree that I was showing earlier. It's auto-saving right now. I'm gonna let it do its thing. I'd like to kind of show how I go from 3D to 2D. What I do to, yeah. So, let's go ahead and hide this foliage for a second. And put this to the wireframe override. So I actually have this giant map of San Diego. It's actually my address. But I found that, because of the canyons, you get some really interesting patterns of homes, and I wanted the patches of homes to be broken up. So found this way to inhale data from OpenStreetMap. And so I could get accurate representations of all the streets. It still took a lot of time to get it working, but it's very cool to be able to automate something like that. I went in, I randomized colors for the different homes. The homes had to come from Google Maps. It wasn't an OpenStreetMap. I had to do these more manually. And then this is that tree that I was streaming in VR a while back. So this is sort of the result of that. It's my wire tree. I ended up bumping up the thickness of the wires so that they read better. So what I'm doing today is I'm tying all of this together. So I'll be spending most of my time in Photoshop. In fact, I'm going to check my task manager and just see how much memory this is taking up. Yeah, it's taking up kind of a lot of memory. I may go ahead and I'm debating whether to exit out of this or whether to keep it up so that I can show people as they come in. I may just wait for now and see. But yeah, so there's some different render passes. So we have this is the main render here, and so this is what we got to work with. I may want to darken these shadows. I may actually do a shadow map render, or I might just manually darken them. I'm still deciding. Oh my gosh, that's funny. I've been in 3D for so long, I'm trying my 3D shortcuts in Photoshop. That's funny. Just closing out some stuff here. So yeah, feel free to ask questions. I'm gonna open Restream. For some reason, Restream chat is not manually opening. All right. I'm just going to manually check my comments. I'm just going to manually check my, alright. So I may be a little slower on comments this time because I'm not using my comment app. But I really want to get started. I actually am on a deadline with this. I have permission to stream it. It is for a client. So it is something that time is somewhat of the essence here. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly select this tree. You know I'll have to do that. Actually, first I'll layer these. So what I'll typically do is I've got my main raw render. This render does not look good yet. This is what all these different passes are for. So this is called an object ID pass. I've manually assigned IDs to my different ones. Oh, it looks like I didn't assign IDs to these guys. Bummer. Well, that's why I have the wire pass. So there's always a few things that slip through the cracks. This is a Z-depth pass, so depending on distance of the from the camera to whatever the the rays are bouncing off of, that's what this is. This is a wire color pass. This is what the wire color in the viewport is. And I've got some creative ways of dealing with this that I'll pull out. This is a diffuse pass, mainly to isolate the leaves. I have this I have this problem with how I did the leaves. That is probably not an issue. I've got these realistic textures or realistic bumps. I didn't expect these to show up in the diffuse pass, but they did. And so I'm not super happy about that. I may re-render if it becomes an issue, but the thing is this tree will be covered by text. So I'm not massively concerned. Cross that bridge when I get there. This is a lighting pass. I thought I might use it maybe to pop shadows, or if I want to give the tree some extra sense of shine, that's how I can use this pass. So it's on my main passes. Sometimes I do more if there's I really want to do a scene that's sort of like a night version of this, and use this have it have more of this kind of a cyberpunk kind of a vibe to it. So one second here. Alright, so now to get back used to using Photoshop again. So step number 1, bring in all my different passes, these layers, so all be useful. Group them. I'm going to name the group passes. I love color coding my groups. And alright, I'm calling this Quarantree because it's a great name, come on. Alright, so I use this as a way to make cheap atmospheres. So I'm going to make an empty group, take this, copy merged, paste it in, then do a, so the white is going to be my atmosphere. And what's so cool is you can actually see the depth data. I was able to pull this from satellites and bring it into 3ds Max. And so you can see, it looks like San Diego. Why not make it personal, right? So yeah, so this is going to help pop things a lot. In fact, I may go ahead and increase the contrast a little bit more here. I do want the tree itself to be right now I'm going in, I'm just like, I want to preserve this, the darkness of the trees. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just doing a quick burn on the shadows, because I want it to be pretty vibrant. I don't want to have the light blue. I'm going to add sort of a light blue for the atmosphere. I don't want it to cut in too much. Something like this. I already have a save of, I might have made an archive of this, but wait. Alright, so now the client wants you know, bright, sunny, happy colors. I was initially going to do this during night where the tree was glowing, so it's like a sign of a kind of, you know, it's like we're in dark times, but there's this glow of, you know, the will of everyone to work together and all that. So, but I can understand, like part of their brand is like bright colors, and so I made this day version. It's a little harder to get the tree to pop during the day, but it's up to the challenge. And see, this is all editable. I can go in and I can change the color. I'm going to keep it in this nice, like, pure sky blue. Now what I want to do is go in and make sure that this tree gets a lot. I need this trunk to have a lot more contrast. That's the main thing. We've got a really strong foliage where the text is going to go, but yeah, there needs to be. So here's a problem with V-Ray wire colors. Not happy with this. If any 3ds Max friends are watching this, if you know some way around this, I would have to switch my renderer to the to scanline in order to get anti-aliasing on these edges. So V-Ray, I keep looking into this, and they don't have anti-aliasing for wire color. I have no idea why. But luckily, see, actually, do I have? Yeah, I do have anti-aliasing with wire color, just not object ID. So I'm just gonna do the tedious thing and just go in and make sure contiguous is off and just select all the different possible wire colors, because it's just faster than doing a whole separate render, because I really want to make sure that I have nice nice edges. So if I press Q and I look, you can see that there's an opacity variance on the edges. It's important to me. It's worth the extra time. Unfortunately, I did an atmosphere render, which is showing through on the wire color, so you have to do a little bit of extra clicking. Not too bad. Get up the tolerance a little. So normally I would do a separate render in scanline and just pull this out, and it actually wouldn't take me that long to do. I'm debating it, because I'm also going to need to do this with the homes. No, I don't have to do this with homes. I'm actually okay, because the homes are all one wire color. I did all the color variation in the homes with material ID, so I'm actually good on that. For anyone stopping in, this is the 3D version of the scene, minus foliage. So you can see I kind of did an overkill when I inhaled the street map, but it's super fun to look at my home city in 3D. I love it. Alright. Alright. It's so funny, I still keep using my 3D shortcuts in Photoshop. Feels good to be back in 2D though. Alright, so we clean up these little little specks. This is all stuff that I can touch up later, but I'm being a perfectionist. So I'm doing a check here. Funny how the camera changes, how the ambient light changes so much depending on what's on my monitor. It's pretty funny. I think I got everything. So I'm gonna save the selection as a separate channel. I'm noticing some overlap errors that I missed in VR. It was hard doing VR yesterday when I was polishing this up because I'm having problems with motion sickness in my headset. Never had that before, but it basically I was racing against the clock, my own like feeling of well-being while doing it, so I kind of cut some corners. All right. Oh darn. This is why I'd started this in another. That's pretty funny. I started this in another document. Well, now I've got a separate layer there to work with here. So what I'm going to do is turn these back on here. This is my archive layer. So I'll save, versions. Go ahead and put this tree in archive. But now I can just load the selection this way. You can always also save it as a channel. And I'm gonna put the copy of the color in archive as well. Actually, I'll keep it up here. Because I'm going to put one down in the main body. So I'm going to call this main. No reason for my color to be that big. We're going to start layering it up in here. Switch to scanning mode here. All right, Yeah, so what I really wanted was these leaves separated. I'm really debating on going in and basically making another pass in Max while I work, which I think I have the system resources to do. Because if I do it, I should start it now. So I just noticed on Facebook I've got some comments. Kevin Chambers is asking what is the resolution of your render. It's great looking design. Thank you. It's 6,000 pixels on the longest side. I was able to, it renders quite quick. V-Ray has this AI denoiser. See how wide it is, 4,500 pixels wide. And I do that because I select, I want to be able to minimize like the aliasing when I make selections of masks. So I'm not gonna need these guys anymore. I'll get rid of them. Save some resources. Yeah, I use progressive rendering, which is great for deadlines because I'll just give it a high resolution and I'll just let it run until it looks good enough, and it always surprises me by how quick it is. It's just CPU rendering. But I didn't use really fancy materials in this. It looks like I used fancy materials. This is all just for the tree. What I want to do is get rid of all the depth I added to the leaves because I'm still actually not convinced that that's a good way to go. I might want to go more flat and stylized. So I'm going to do both versions. So I'm going to make a total copy and basically disconnect all the reflection glass, bump map, reflect map, all that stuff. And see, I have these light bulb maps. It's supposed to be like a light bulb leaf. Isn't that cute? It's like our ideas are coming together, kind of a thing. The thing is most of these leaves are going to be covered by text, so I could be over worrying about this. This here is just the secondary size. But I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this as a diffuse map too, and just make it. Gray might be fine actually. I don't think I'm going to see too much of the lower part of the leaves. Let's see, have I gotten rid of all these? I'm going to set the diffuse back to that kind of a red color. I don't want it to look like, I want to be slightly pinkish because I don't want it to look too much like fall. I want these leaves to look artificial. So I'm already doing this kind of tech cyber looking thing. Delete these guys. Alright, so now I'm going to apply this new material. See how things go here. And what I'm also going to do is go into my frame buffer and just do a selection of the area I'm going to need and help save on resources. And then go into Render settings. And disable some of the render elements I'm not going to need. Save this out. Alright. So I'm gonna keep... I thought for sure there was something that let me just have the diffuse. Oh, interesting. It might actually, I should have used raw diffuse filter, not diffuse filter. Okay. It might have been... I'm still learning these. I want denoiser, yeah, I better just material ID. I don't need that. I don't need this one. Don't need this. And I don't need this either. So we'll see if this completely slows down my machine and I can't work in Photoshop, but I should be able to. I have a lot of RAM, though I'm using 100% of CPU right now, but V-Ray is pretty good about letting me multitask. At least Vex is. I didn't have as much luck when I was in 3.6. Alright, so I want to give this a slightly cartoony look. I want to have kind of Pixar vibes a little bit. I'm gonna put this is where you can have fun with wireframe color. I just put my wire color pass on color blending mode, and that just pumps the local color up in a nice way. And I have a fog, like a V-Ray environment fog layer here. Oh, you know something else is my mesh glitched out when it came in from the satellite, and it put all these pock marks in the land. These are not supposed to be there. So I'm going to go in and just like manually paint those out. I want this to be kind of stylized. I realized they could kind of float in a more realistic kind of depiction. But I have some interesting happy accidents in here that push it to more of a stylized direction. For example, we have the floating path. This is actually a canyon that I've taken a lot of walks and jogs in. It's kind of fun to have that in here. You know what? I bet I can actually use the blemish healing tool, which is a really great tool, by the way, in Photoshop. I think it's called the spot healing tool. I bet I can actually use this for some of these. Oh, look at that! Beautiful. There's also content-aware fill, which works quite well with this kind of thing. And I still have the old version on another layer, so if I ever want to bring any of these back for whatever reason, I can. But this is supposed to be kind of a conceptual piece. It's not supposed to be realistic. So I'm okay with making everything nice and smooth. I'm just gonna add some kind of a feature here, like a park, but I think letting it breathe a little bit is also nice. You know, I can sometimes have a tendency to overwork stuff, so I don't know, yell at me if you guys think I'm doing that. So yeah, before color layer, after color layer. So you can see this kind of unifies everything a little bit better. Although I don't like unifying the leaves too much. I like having some unnatural colors in the leaves because I'm trying... Oh yeah, speaking of which, see how the render's coming. Oh, I think this is better. So I'm still on task 0. This is going to take a little while. But I still have the AI denoise feature up my sleeve, and I also have a secondary AI denoising tool that I may also wield on this. Let's see what the passes are doing. Oh, perfect! This is what I want. This is what I want. Yeah. Oh, one of my textures slipped the cracks, but that's acceptable. The main thing I wanted was these like red and yellow ones. And these are all nice and flat now, so I can easily select them. And what's great is that, so if you look, it's saying I'm using 100% CPU, but I'm only using 57% memory despite, oh man, yeah. I'm so happy with this laptop. It's 2 years old, but it's still like very good at handling whatever I throw at it. So I'm gonna copy merge and bring in a separate, bring in the trunk as a separate layer, and so now it's just I work how in pure diffuse as much as possible. Not I'm using 3D terms again. Normal blending mode, not diffuse. It's not even the same thing. Can you tell I was up late last night working on like this? I basically slept while it rendered. So now I'm putting a gradient. I just made a mask on the color layer, and I'm bringing back some of this other color variation because I don't want the tree top to be too green. Now the text header for the cover is going to be at the top, so I need to make sure there's enough, you know, that it's not too contrasty. So I'm probably going to bring down some of the yellows, but again, I'm going to wait until my render is done. You really can't tell that these are light bulb leaves. I wanted to have this mix where some are light bulbs and... Oh, you know what? I had the blue ones were going to be squares. And I'm just not sure if that's the best look. I meant to do a test render of that and I forgot. I can still test render it. Yeah, I can do that. Let's at least try it before I keep going. This is part of that 2080 rule. So yeah, so when you put in a denoise filter, it has to do the second pass with denoises. I could maybe show off my Topaz denoiser, which is a freaking awesome tool. So I have multiple tricks up my sleeve when it comes to this stuff. You can cut a render in half and just use that tool, and it'll dramatically, it'll make it look like you were rendering way longer than you actually were, which is pretty cool. Maybe I'll get some water while I wait for this to finish up its thing. Alright, so let's try the square leaf. Let's try mixing square leaves with the light bulb leaves, with normal leaves. It's supposed to represent, like, the light bulb leaves are supposed to be like the economy of ideas, and the square leaves are like goods or something that's more systems level. And then the green leaves are supposed to be about, you know, help like the planet thriving as a result of this. So it's not all of those things need to come through, but I want them to as much as they can. So so let's go into the blue material, which is right here. I'm going to swap out this alpha map for my square leaf one, and I'm gonna swap it out here as well, or else we'll have problems. This is a two-sided material, very useful for leaves. So I may also make this a little smaller. In fact, I can go ahead and just do that now, unless it's gonna tile. No, I didn't think that through. Let's just see how it looks. And I'm too lazy to go in and start and make us smaller. Let's see. I'm just gonna let this cook for a while because I've got stuff I can do here. I kind of want to bring out the shadows again. I want to do all of this non-destructively, if possible, because it means that if I go in and change stuff, and I can re-render it, bring it in, and not have to worry about, needing to do any kind of repainting. Kind of want to get rid of, I think it's almost a little too uniform here, the green. I think in the foreground, I'm also, to balance out the top, I'm going to get rid of some of this strong green tint. I'm going to do that separately, so I often group things and then add a mask to the group. That helps me split up my masks. I have a very non-committal working style, as you might have been able to gather. I like to call it late binding and not zero commitment. Invert this mask, and I basically wanted to go in and pop these shadows. So I'm gonna decrease the hardness of my brush. Round brushes are great for this. I don't have to switch brushes anytime I want to change hardness. Very useful. And because I'm working into a curves adjustment, I can go in and just pop the shadows where I want to. And see, because I added the shadows were, they were too sharp before when I did this, and that's why I added a V-Ray environment fog. It's like a volumetric fog. That just helps kind of push them back a little bit. What's interesting is how they kind of concentrated right here, and it's super dark, but I kind of like it. trying to decide what to do about all these weird pock marks. I had a weird decision to make, which is what to do about plants. So the initial maximalist answer is like, you know, add plants everywhere, add trees in the cul-de-sac. But you'll notice there are no plants here. I just did a simple extrusion. I'm really trying to make this read as clearly as possible because there's already a lot going on. I'm already a little concerned about the fact that people might not immediately see that the wires are going into the homes. In fact, this one was a little too short. So what has kind of happened here is they're supposed to be going directly in. So one thing I think I'm going to try is adding glows where all the little wires at the homes, and not adding any plants, because the plants were just confusing everything in there. So I added a few little plants in the canyon just to be, you know, nice little low poly trees. They're literally just spheres. Max actually has a painter tool. Oh wow, yeah, this is supposed to go inside that building and it didn't. So I was a little bit sloppy, I guess, and when I was in VR. But I may have a way around this. Glowy stuff! Yay. We'll start with an overlay and then finish with a color dodge, and the idea is to have this little bit of magical glow happen at each wire contact point, and that'll hopefully sell the idea that there's like technology happening. People are connecting to each other, again, to form this like unified whole thing. I want like kind of a sunny yellow kind of a shape. So this is kind of the secondary glow. Do I want this to be warm light or cool light? Let's try more of an orange. You can always layer this. I think part of what might also help this read is to reduce the color variation of the trees. So the glow is not really coming through that well. I can change the hue of the glow too. Like blue might actually, nah. Yellow might actually be the best way to go here. Kind of bridges the gap between. Yeah, luckily this is all editable, so no commitments. I could make the glow the same color as. Oh, that's fun. I just realized it's a. It's not the square gradient. It's kind of a happy accident. Now I'm edging back to a bit more orange again. This is very difficult because of the constraint of it being bright and sunny. This, for anyone coming in, I was told by the client to avoid like a dark place because they really want to avoid foreboding vibes, and so, which is fine, you know. Like I mean, this is a nice sunny happy feel, but it's much harder to sell the idea of technology. Technology is so much better when it's like glowing in a dark area. So, you know, this is just creativity within constraint. So I'm gonna play around with the homes themselves. So I'm just gonna say this is homes. Man, I debated about like adding little roofs to these homes, and I just had to rely on the fact that the cul-de-sac has a certain iconic pattern, because this is a more conceptual illustration, not like some new world, but it's supposed to be like, I wanted initially to use these really generic homes. But I went with the route of just simply extruding them because I feel like in tandem with like the roads, I think these sell well as being homes. It also would have done a lot of work. No comments from Twitch yet. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Alright, so I'm gonna copy merged, I think. Actually, I can just jump the layer down here. So now I have control over homes. And because I want the tree to come forward, it's probably wise to actually darken them. Reduce their contrast a little. Not jazzed about it. I'm not going to do it very much, I think. It's tough. Maybe they just need to stay where they are. What I might do is do a blanket tint on them. Maybe something that's a little closer to the tree. Now I could just reduce the opacity of this layer, so just trying to unify them a little bit, because once they're unified you can see the patterns they make on the ground better. The roads that the homes are connected to are also kind of fighting with things. Also planning to go in and smooth out. Here's where the little the real devil in the details comes. It's like, see how this is just kind of smoothing out all these little artifacts that are happening as a result of. Doesn't need to be perfect. I'm okay with like doing some edge breaking so it's not 100% smooth. But like, I kind of want to just add a little bit of softness here and there. It looks a little SCG. I'm going for this balance. It's a tech illustration, or it's for people who sell technology products, and so having it look 3D is in no way like a bad thing for their brand, but there's something warm and soft, like the message is kind of warm and soft. Notice how when these came in an OpenStreetMap, they were cul-de-sacs here. I'm going to go ahead and add, well, you know what? I can check on my render now. Still a few passes to go. So this is with Square leaves. Do I like the square leaves better? I kind of do. It's close, but I feel like, well, if I made them green, they would look a little like money or something. It's like a money tree. I think they could have been a little smaller, but one of the comments I got from the client was, don't make the tree foliage too realistic, and this is definitely less realistic. I think I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I think it's gonna work. Let's make sure that my raw diffuse filter is working out. Oh, that's right. I was gonna change. What's the offending leaf here? No, I'm not. I'm not gonna need to. I'll leave it alone. Work expands to fill the time allotted. I think that having these little circles is going to help. What I love about them is they make it look a little like a circuit board, which kind of plays well with the theme. So, when I brought the homes in, they were a little bit off-centered. Just have to make it look like the homes are less. I've actually been around this cul-de-sac a bunch, so I know it's more centered than this, but this is nobody else is gonna know this. It's funny because I did drop my roads to the terrain that came in from the satellite data, but there weren't quite enough control points, so we have these issues of the road basically like running into the ground. And the thing is I kind of like the style of this broken line. I feel like it would be a little too perfect if in places like right here, right breaks, I think visually actually looks better. So it's kind of an interesting problem. Let's see how things look. Like this one didn't get dropped. It's pretty funny. But again, like I actually kind of like these floating things. I actually left them. They added an extra little bit of pop to this that I think is kind of cool. It's kind of a weird mix of styles that I hope works in the end. I'm gonna play around again with put it on color dodge blending mode, and Give it a cool color over a warm. Kind of an interesting look. Try to name my layers. I'm gonna shadow the tree a little more. I want to get this nice counter change going where the tree goes from dark to light, and like dark up here down to light here, and then I want the foreground of this to be dark down here going up to light here. It's a very kind of a yin-yang composition thing going on here. So I just grouped it, and now I inverted it. So this is the structure of what I've got going on. And now I can really help push that top. I'll probably name my layers here. Oh, I had my base in the wrong group. That's what happened. Should be good. Trying to be a better steward of my scenes here. Oh, it looks like Facebook just went out. My guess is a lot of people are streaming on Facebook who don't normally stream, and it's just like choking right now. So, I'm going to refer to my mock-ups. These were too early, before I actually made the tree in 3D. Two early versions of what this is doing. Use this as kind of a cheat sheet here. So I had a lot more color temperature shift going on, and I had a darker ground. I think that's what really helped that thing pop. Yeah, it's kind of coming back to me now. What I maybe want to do to really help this pop out more. You can go to the atmosphere and oh, you know what? I know this is going to help. So it looks like I've still lost Facebook. Oh no, looks like I'm back. I may have wanted to add a, I thought this looked kind of weird, these two swooshes going in the front. I think I was initially going to have them go in front of the text box. There's going to be a text box down here. I think part of what this is the addition of the fog. I have to think about this a little bit. These are just referencing to place them on the other monitor for now. What I really want is, let's see, so this is, we'll call this Color Unify. Oh, thank you, Doug, on Facebook. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you. Oops. For some reason, my cursor's jittery. Alright, so I think above the homes and below the Color Unify, I'm going to add an adjustment layer. I'm just going to call... It's just going to darken everything. Maybe I'll go ahead and add a darkness to the base, actually. You see, this really helps pop things, especially if I add more atmosphere. And it's also more true to what the client's expecting. Might actually bring down the color unification just a bit, and then bring up. Let's do an extra layer. Ooh boy. So what I'll do sometimes, since this is all inside of a group with a mask, I can move stuff around inside that group. So I'm going to move some of the brightest part of blue up here, reduce the saturation of the layer to, or the opacity of the layer by 70%. And then I'm going to hue shift this other layer, and that way I've got a more nuanced atmosphere. I'm actually kind of liking a little bit more of the purple than that. I just think that that's kind of more robust somehow. I also kind of want to see. I want to see a little more atmosphere going on in some of these back leaves. So I'm going to go ahead and, before I do anything else, I'm going to save this mask, and I'm going to put it into the archive down here. Oops. I must have had a... Okay, I will just save it as channel. Okay, so I'm going to go back to it because dodging and burning are destructive edits. Okay, I'm going to switch some music here. Still catch all. Let me know if the music volume is okay. I've been having some issues with volume. Should be okay, but... Alright, so anyways, I've saved this. Now I'm going in, and I'm going to color dodge out some of these leaves. I just want to get a little more sense of atmosphere. Like that. Just real subtle stuff. This basically just helps the leaves go back in space a little bit. So there's one thing I do have in here that I didn't think about, which is stems. I want the stems to be orange to help to sell the transition point between the wires and these. I was initially just going to have the leaves floating there, and I actually meant to get rid of them, but I actually think if I just made them bright orange, that would help solve the problem that I've got right now. So I kind of like how they work visually. So I'm going to go in and see what my stem color is, and make sure contiguous is off, and select all these guys. Nice. Save this here. See how my render's doing. So I stopped the other one when it had done a pass of 70, but really I can stop them when they're at about 30 and they'll be fine. But this isn't really interfering with my performance at all. So I think I'm just gonna leave it as it is. I may not even... I'm actually having second thoughts about the square blue leaves. I think this is something that if there wasn't a whole bunch of text in front of all of this, that it would be more important. I can adjust the client, but you seem pretty happy with my mock-ups, which my one mock-up had these weird like lines, so it's trying to like get some more texture in there, and it was kind of a failed experiment. It's like way too. I was trying to make these glowing lines like it would look more like technology, but it just ended up looking weird. Put some more ambient music on. I'm gonna sit again. I love standing desks, or having a standing desk, except they have to switch a lot. I get back pain if I stand too long. So what I want to do is kind of spread the shadow out more. You should really go above the homes so that they're in shadow too. Invert this mask. And so once I have that, I can go in the gradient and basically just pop the darks where I want them. So I think I'm going to bring the darks into this canyon area more. Just kind of the foreground in general. This is where I'll go ahead and lock layers sometimes too, so that it can auto select. The only reason typically, oh weird. So when I initially made this was going straight into one of the homes. Same with this. So I'm starting to suspect that the tree got nudged or something happened. Oh, I know what happened. I moved all the homes down back there. I forgot. I moved them down and then I forgot to move to adjust the wires to go into them. So that's going to take a little bit of manual tweaking.
Susan. Hi. It's New York. So yeah.
I'm realizing I'm having a tangent I don't like. The way that these wires are coming out. I'm going to save a copy of this tree. I'm going to go in and press slash. Here's a great little, for my digital painter friends, if you press slash, you auto lock the layer transparency, or I think whatever your last transparency was, which is very, very useful. So I use the saturate tool with a map. I'm going to go in and saturate this. I really want these to pop more because there's kind of a tangent happening. I may also paint out a few of the homes here so that this part can show up. This is one of those things I didn't really see in 3D before. Back to delving into the details. There's a lot of stuff that comes in. I'll sometimes, I'll typically just do small preview renders. And I'm task switching again. Surprise, surprise. I just bounce around a lot, kind of make sure everything gets done, and it's just a habit build up from meeting deadlines where it's always better to turn something in that's universally a little less polished than you like than something that looks obviously unfinished. Yeah, I had this little building that was going to be here that this thing was going into, and I think it's at this point it will just be faster to fudge it. Here's a funny, happy accident too, is that these golf course pieces are supposed to get dropped, and they're floating in the air, but I actually kind of like them floating in the air. It looks like some kind of a networking happening. It's just this kind of... I don't think people are going to notice it unless they really look. But I like the look. Alright, just doing a little communication. Still trying to decide what to do with these pockmarks, how much of a purist I want to be with the land. They could be seen as like plants, but if they were, I'd rather just add plants. I'm gonna get rid of them for now. I'll just jump this layer, and yeah, go in with my spot healer again. Let's see if I can. Still kind of getting used to the nuances of importing satellite data into my scenes. Richard, if you're still in here, I'd be curious if you know of you do ArcViz, if you know of any tools for putting this stuff in. I use fade a lot. This is a nice little trick in Photoshop. I tied a high key to it, and so I can do the slider and see exactly what opacity I want this to be without having to put it on a separate layer. It's very useful if you're using different blending modes. Highly recommend it. It's one of those little things that photographers use that I haven't seen much in the way of digital painting using it. But it's actually been quite a while since I've watched any painting videos, so it could be that that's like a common thing now. Should watch some. Does anyone have any recommendations for some recent like digital painting walkthrough stuff? I know I have like a Gumroad backlog that I should be getting to. Oh man. Oh, fine. Artifacts. Sometimes this happens from the selection process. Yeah. Yuck. I can rectify these. This is another one of those things that probably nobody's gonna notice, but I always have like print making and sales in mind when I do these, so I tend to put some extra love into things like edges, edge management for that reason. So, what's nice about always having your wire color in a separate path is that now I can go in and just quickly like clean this up here. See if there's any other little cleanup. Yeah, look at that. So my selection was a little faulty. I'll just go ahead and save out this cleaned mask once I seems like it's mostly the tan that was a problem here. Yep, sure enough. You know what? You just fill it with white. It might help a little. That's just not going to help everywhere. Sometimes it'll overdo it. Yeah, it's just kind of messier than I'd hoped. This is why I oversize my renders. I've actually been chastised before for like rendering it too high of a resolution, but if it doesn't take that long to do, I don't see any downside because then I can get much cleaner edges. It's like, you know, I do understand the argument that people aren't going to see it, especially with concept art, but This could very well be a large, poster or something. Release. Definitely notice some light from the render happening in the background. Whoops. I did that thing again where, there we go. Somehow this got cut off. I think I know how. Well, this is certainly better than it was. It's not perfect yet. Every time I think I'm done, I find it's this tan. It's the culprit. It's strange because I thought I had the same tolerance before on the magic wand when I selected it the first time. Apparently not, because I wouldn't be able to fill these gaps in now if I did. This will be useful in the future, this mask. It's kind of neat on its own. You could see something like this on like a t-shirt or something. So I'm gonna try something kind of bold here in terms of it's darkened. Oh, Steve, nice to have you in here. Thank you. Yeah, I'm kind of doing the tedious part of this kind of process. It's like all the little tweaks, but I've gotten a lot of questions, people about like sort of how much of what I do is 3D and 2D at least lately. And technically I'm all over the board on it, but this is kind of an example of like the typical mask pass kind of workflow. I'm gonna play around with brightening these blocks. So see, these have a lot of contrast, just taking away from the tree. So I'm doing this interesting balancing act right now, and it appears that my I think my tolerance is a little too aggressive in the magic wand, because here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna shift my edge back and feather it just a little bit. There we go. Because I have a gigantic render going on in the background on the laptop, this is normally not nearly as sluggish as it is right now. But, there, now I don't have that annoying edge. So now I can play to my heart's content with the brightness of these kind of bases. Decided I want to flatten these glows. Hey Doug, no problem. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I really kind of struggled with like how to deal with some of these things that they're not really things. I think this is originally the tennis courts or something. Maybe not. I don't even know what the structure is. I passed by it a lot, but some of these things I just decided to, you know, abstractify, and I think it works fine. I don't mind the chunkiness of some of this stuff, but I was getting kind of annoyed by the low poly nature. It's partially because I have smoothing on in 3ds Max, so what that does is it takes the faceted nature of it. The geometry itself isn't smooth, but it averages the normals and how the light reflects off the surface. So the surface looks smooth, but the actual geometry is not. And that disparity to me often like doesn't look so good. Sometimes it's okay, but who else's sleep is messed up? My sleep is still messed up. I know I posted about that, but just sort of crunch time. All these little artifacts from the import process. For anyone joining I used actual map data. OpenStreetMap is a API where you can basically bring in satellite depth data and street information. I'm going to show a screenshot real quick here. So here's what the scene looked like in Max. Here's the tree. The houses actually were not in OpenStreetMap. I had to get those from Google Maps, and it was a very annoying, tedious process doing that. Not recommended. Apparently they don't store residences, but everything else, all the ways and everything, these are all accurate. This is actually like my neighborhood. I've spent a lot of time in this canyon area, and I live right around there. We're close enough. And so what's really cool is that the data came in, and these are actually like all labeled in that map when they come in. So I can separate by see, I've got golf holes and all these, like, the GS import's not supposed to be in there. That's supposed to be something else, but so it's kind of the problem is that when it came in, it only has a certain resolution it can come in at, and so there's a disparity between the resolution of the roads and the resolution of the ground underneath, meaning that I get these errors. And some of them I'm just going to leave in interest of time, and in interest of aesthetics. I like some of the breaking, but other ones I'm going to fix. Doug Batista asks, will you detail all the structures in the city? No, I'm not going to. They're supposed to be kind of symbolic. I don't know if I want to continue this line or not. I'm gonna try it. I think that it would be a little too busy if I detailed them. I could do it and I could make it work, but I don't think that the time investment of adding roofs and all that is worth what I get. And there's actually a clearer read in some ways. It's really more about selling an idea than anything. Here it is with my edits. I still want to, oh yeah. Gonna take this and notice all this crap here. I'm gonna get rid of all this like kind of snow. This is gonna be my nice cleaned up version of the mask. I'm gonna transfer it over to the other one. I'll make it a little cleaner. Now I'm copying merged, or actually I think the mask I can just copy, and I don't have to copy merged. And then pasting, you can notice that the cleaned up version is now also in the curves down part of the illustration. Oh yeah, if anybody's interested in how I made the tree, I've got videos on both my Facebook feed and clips on Twitch, my Twitch history. So you can see how I used virtual reality to make the tree. Oh, that's right. You know what? I was going to completely forgot what I was going to do with the stems. This is what I get for jumping around, working while sleep deprived. I'm just gonna throw this on top. These twigs are pretty minor. What I'm gonna do is brighten these guys. And then I'm gonna colorize them. Make a copy first. This may not be very noticeable, but it's about, I'm at the point of doing little things. Come on. There we go. Yeah, I want kind of this like rich orange. Something like that. Maybe bring down the saturation a little bit. See what that does to the overall tree. Yeah, I actually kind of like how this kind of gives it that techier look that I was going for. I'm really trying to walk an interesting line here. And I felt like the top of the tree previously was a little too... yeah. In fact, because I added those orange, now I can balance out. So maybe I'll leave it. You know what's funny is I'm actually leaning towards keeping some of the texture with the leaves now. Because now that I added these really stylistic looking branches, I'm less inclined to do... So that whole background render that's going on, I just stopped. You know what, I can totally stop this now. I'm at past 22, it's good enough. So it's going to take a little while for it to denoise and do its thing. Yeah. I'm still not sure about the homes down there. Something about them. They're not ready yet. I think maybe they need to be lower saturation or something. Because they're just... I added this yellow cast, so I'm gonna make another copy. This is how my files turn huge. Oh good. So a nice feature of V-Ray is you can save all channels to separate files. The reason I'm doing this mainly is to be able to pull out from these yellow leaves. Although funnily enough, because I did change the shape of the blue leaves, this is not going to be the perfect mask. Yeah, I kind of realized that midway through, and I thought, you know, it's just... they're not making big enough changes at this point to make it worth doing a whole separate render again. They totally could, but... I'm just so happy that my renderer doesn't interfere with my ability to use my computer. I only have one active machine where I live. Right now, I used to always want two. I guess I have a laptop to type in, but I'm a lot less reliant on having that now because I can get work done while doing my renders on the same machine. So guess what happens if I turn the saturation like all the way down. Of course, it's on the 30%. Let's bump that up to... Guess what it is if it's really desaturated. So, you know, that definitely helps the tree come forward. We have before and after. I think there's a happy middle ground. I'm going to put it at 70%. And I think no longer do I need to unify it with that yellow pass like I had before. I think I'm going to make it 60% before and after. Then basically I'm pushing back the homes and I'm hoping to use the glow to really sell the idea that these are going into the homes. I'm going to pull in a text box that I'm going to go into my email here and pull in a text box that the graphic designer at the company had mocked up with my mock-up, just to kind of get a sense. Bear with me for a bit. Let's save out the PDF here. So they currently have a box that's just trying to get it to download right. Okay, I'm just gonna screenshot. That's kind of like the tagline from the old And I've toyed with the idea of giving them a couple wires to put in front. So I'm definitely going to do that. Something like that. Oops. Just kind of trying to mock up what text is going to look like in here. I'm happy that they're giving me permission to stream this. It's nice not always having to work in NDA. All right, I think that's looking pretty good. I'm gonna pull out 3 wires to put in the front here. So now I can move that in front of the text. And now look at that, it wraps around it all nice. Hopefully it's not too tangenty. Oh, I just checked Twitch. Sorry, Shay, if you said that a while back. My free stream is not working properly right now. So, yes, use Blender's GIS plugin to pull some topo and vector data, FBX to max. Cool. Yeah, I've heard that Blender has a way of doing that too. I've been meaning to play with it and kind of compare and contrast. I'm curious what data sources it uses, like what mapping services. Okay. It's a weird effect. My gradient is like not acting the way I would expect it to. Let's just try something here. No, that's right. I really wish that you could change the bubble, like the fall off of the gradient better. How you can in Max. It would be super useful. You get some weird effects with I remembered I had some glitched out geometry in this area. I might go in and fix that. Oh yeah, let's see. Trying to find a link to the music I'm listening to. I think it's this one. I have this in my library, so I when I just commented, a gig was still for the modern age to describe this. I like that. I'll remember that one, dude. Thanks. I want to do something about this foreground. This is actually the university, San Diego City College, no, San Diego State University. Keep getting them confused. And I think that this is too eye-catching. I think that this contrast here is taking away from the tree. It's been bothering me for a little while, so I think I'm finally gonna get around to doing something about it. I want to do a different darken curve, but this one, a low saturation one. Just to check performance here. Oh, should be done with saving this out. I'm just not sure if I want to deal with the lag anymore or not. Or whether I want to go back and change this this leaf pattern back to the way it was. Might play with keep bouncing around again. Yeah, see, it's starting to get laggy because I've got so many layers, and I think it's because Max is open. So, all right, that does it. I'm gonna close Max. It's auto-saving right now. I almost never let it finish. I just use it as a reminder, and I just press escape. It's my pro tip when it comes to auto-saves. I'm in the alt lead scene. I'll go ahead and save this. Get out of it. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to standing again. I'm gonna play with some a more upbeat music for all the fiddly stuff, I think. This is a Summer Rainstorm album by Audio Glider. Now to bring in, yeah, this is starting to come together. I think maybe the The lights definitely, when I zoom out, the little lights I added definitely give it a more techie look that I'm digging. It really pops better, so I'm happy with that. It's funny, I still stand back from it. It's an old instinct for painting. Now here's a funny question is I could go in and make these leaves look more like light bulbs. But they also look kind of like badly drawn pears. I was trying to go for stylized and I could add the little screws with the light bulb. I could like actually flesh it out to be more like a light bulb. But I don't know if that's... It could be kind of cheesy. I don't know. I am open to suggestions from chat as to whether that would be a bad idea or not. I may, before I sink a bunch of time into it, I may run it by the art director. Alright, so in Twitch, Patrick's GH says, "Hi, light bulbs do seem a bit cheesy." Yeah, I think that first instinct is probably right then. Okay, I'm gonna be right back. I am back. And for some reason my machine is lagging. Alright, back. I don't like these 100% round gradients. I think that because this is such a dimensional image, they look like they were just kind of pasted on there, even though they're supposed to be lights. I think it's worth time to go in and flatten some of them. Not even all of them, just like some of them. Oh, I just did something to my music player. iTunes app on Windows 10 is hot garbage. It's sucked into there. It's just like in terms of like performance. Oh, there we go. You know what, when I took my break, I realized I haven't done a single versioning on this yet. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Oh yeah, I mentioned I wanted to reduce the contrast in some of this. I thought I might actually add a little more complexity to this building or do something to it. This whole thing here, it does look techy. Like initially I liked it, but I think it needs a little more something. Maybe I'll fill these in here. Ah, rats. I did the thing I didn't mean to do. Go ahead and move this too. You know what I'd love is I'd love like a double layered layer panel where it's like if it so you don't have to scroll, you can just see like multiple you just have multiple panels so you can see all your layers. It'd be so nice. So maybe I'll darken these plants a little bit so they're a little less contrasty. I'm not sure. This thing has been bothering me for a while now. Maybe it'll be recessed a little bit. Like a little bit of shadow or something helps fill that in. So I do think that helps. It's less contrasty. Doing that ambient occlusion there. Also some little artifacts I'm not a fan of down here. This foreground definitely needs work, for sure. This one's just going to go ahead and get pen tool. I wonder why my mouse is lagging. Shouldn't. Maybe I'll add a loop here or something. You know what also? I think this is just a little too bright, this whole road. I think that's part of what's going on. Just realized that the light's coming from much more that direction than I had remembered. There's something going on with my PC that's slowing down my brush strokes considerably. I may end up just like rebooting. Also thinking about taking a break, getting some dinner. So I might call it quits for now. And make good progress. I didn't get a chance to add my leaves that it's going to do, but You know, I bet I could make the blue leaves pop a little more, and move back the yellow ones. Okay, fine. We'll try one more thing before I go. Yeah, my machine's doing something. It's like full fans. What's it doing? Firefox is taking up a lot, Novia, so it's like I'm using almost as many resources streaming as I am in Photoshop. Darn. Well, it was not a good idea to do the blue leaves as a different shape at the same time I did this pass, because now I actually want to affect them. But let's just see what it does. Actually, depending, if I think about it, I think I actually didn't have those textures on the blue leaves. Well, what is happening with my machine? It's super laggy. Oh, I remember now. Yeah, I had a disparity between the different maps, and yeah, these aren't going to be super selectable. I'll just open up Max and re-render with the old leaf shape and call it a day. You guys will see when I post the final piece what I ended up choosing in that regard. Okay, real quick, just for whoever's still in the stream. Whoa, that's weird. Yeah, so you can see how the still blue leaves. You can see what's happened. Part of it is that the leaves are bent along the middle, and so it's harder to get the shapes that I was kind of hoping for with those. Let's just see like what would happen if I like. I mean, technically, if I bring in the other, maybe a little bit grainy, but not too bad. Alright, so now I have new leaves. It's not terrible. They're basically covering up the old ones. I can't even tell, I mean, this is rendering in the background at half performance. I can't even tell that I didn't spend as much time on it. See, they're nice and bright. I actually kind of like this better. It kind of fits. And see, then what I was going to do is take the yellow leaves. Flip to the top here. Yellow leaves stayed the same in terms of some uses of the selection. And again, the art director might shoot this down because it might compete a little too much with the text. What I'm trying to do is make it high contrast, lower contrast. But maybe not quite as bright up here so it doesn't compete with the text or something like that. This is better. I think this is better. Part of it too is that the way print happens, you don't want too many blacks. It's always going to go way too dark black. So brightening these guys up is probably a good idea. Nice. Yeah, the nice thing about the yeah, it doesn't look too particularly glitchy. It's a little bit. Okay, so there's this like little line around these. I can feather it and shift edge such that I can get rid of those artifacts, and that'll actually help to create okay. See, this makes it look like not like a more artificial tree. And I think that the text will still pop well. It's like block text, white. See what they say. Well, I think this is a good stopping point. So in one stream, I managed to take this from a completely raw render to, it's not quite there yet for final, but I'm pretty happy with the progress it's made. So, brighten this a little bit. So much tweaking. Yeah, thank you to everybody who stopped in and for kind words. And yeah, I hope everybody stays safe and have a great night.